So generally we tell in beginning common weaknesses, common things which people are, let's say, common mistakes that people are making. So the most common thing is called you are not relating answers with, I say nowadays, concept and context, or rather I will say context. This context and concept. Why we are talking now? So nowadays your answers are quite applied since you follow GS pattern. This, so and since things have changed, so we will not say ki you should not follow it. This, so since people have started writing optional like GS type, and GS type is that ki GS does not have its context and concept. It may have context, but it may not have concept. This, but optional has context also and concept also. Simple ki when you are writing globalization in GS somehow, so GS, let's say that ki globalization starts with your definition, and let's say that ki ends with what we are doing in our country. This you can say. But if you take public administration, so globalization has not come in vacuum. It has its own context. This, the context linked to neoliberal philosophy coming to new public management, that you can say the context linked to welfare state, corporate welfare state, that you can say. Then globalization also has undergone changes. We can say there is rebalancing, re-globalization, blah blah things, let's say that. It has its context also, it has its concept also. This, that is the difference when we write in GS and when we write in optional. But what we find is the most important weakness I find in all those answers, that ki neither you relate to context, not you relate to concept. This, so most of the answers are independent of context and concept. This, now how it is going to harm, benefit, only UPSC can tell. This, we can only just say tell that ki since it is optional, the optional may have its own sanctity. Otherwise, why it is optional? No need to study optional, isn't it? Why it should be optional, let's say. So what is the difference? So that, and same thing applies to most of the things. All those, let's say, chapter 1 topics are related to same, whether you talk about governance, whether you talk good governance, whether you talk new public management, and whether we talk LPG. This, which is what they have come side by side. So each one has its own context. Even if governance also has its own context, it has not come into existence. It is also a concept, let's say, but check your content, ki whether anything concept related you have written. This, so that is what we find. Same thing it applies to other questions. All questions when they are asked, so all questions will have this related to present. So something may have happened in public administration. That's why those questions are asked. This, a question can be placed in this context, a question can be placed here, a question can be placed here. That is how I say generally, a question can be placed here. Are you picking up this context, this, of that question? This, so we find that yes, some here and there you mention in your answer, that is what you can say, that ki power of terminologies. So at times, let's say terminologies may come, so which can save you a bit from falling apart, but That is what, let's say, although you know it, it's not that you do not know all these things. The only thing is that when you write your answers, so whether it is coming in your mind that time or not, or how you train yourself, how you train yourself, your mind to write it, this you can consider. So, let's see, already you have written now chapter 1, and so you should learn it when you write again if you get chance. Let's say you want 2 questions in mocks, so you should try to change. That is how we say that. So this is one. Second thing is that this when people, let's say, conclude, especially in chapter 1, let's say that. So there are only 2 types of conclusion that we find. One is either you mention Minnebrook Third Conference or you mention post NPM. That's the common conclusion we find. This, you can say that. Many a time it appears stereotype, you can consider, because let's say a question may not be necessarily linked to post NPM. You can see, like if you are writing NPA, so certainly NPS may not be its end. It can be Minnebrook third also, now Minnebrook fourth also. This, that way also. When we are writing discipline related question, discipline, generally one question they ask from theory section. So then the question again is that discipline to what you end towards, let's say now. Certainly it may not necessarily be, let's say post NPM that you relate. This, so conclusion, let's say when you write, although there you will write one question, so it is okay, but many a time it may not be directly linked to the topic that we are talking. Many a time NPM may not be linked to post NPM, it may be linked to its relevance. Question is demanding to end with relevance, right? But you are demanding with something else, ending with something else. It is a gap also created in that answer, and then it is not making that impression. Yes. So this I will tell that you need to change or walk the, let's say, your concluding part when you are writing on this. So these are, let's say, that 2 major things when we say. Rest, it is each question will decide that what are those weaknesses we can consider when you are writing. Then let's say that nature of questions, if we see that the question can be, let's say that it is theoretical, it is applied, and it is mixed type. Most of the question will be this. The most questions will come in this category. Most of the questions are theoretical as well as applied. You can write both content. But there are some rare questions which are just theoretical, let's say that. This, like when NPA was phenomenological, it resulted into decline of theory. You may be familiar with that question. Once asked, so you cannot write applied answer. It's theoretical. The theoretical question is theoretical answer. This, so that way, if you look into past PYQs, you will find that one question may be linked to theoretical aspect. Are we writing that theoretical things? Let's say that. Are we writing theoretical? This, there are some questions which we have asked. Since it is now generic question, last year paper they asked very easy that you know all those questions, hardly any question can be that you do not know. It isn't it? So that is how we have also changed essay questions. Let's say कि पहले नहीं होते थे, but now questions when we ask, so it is very, some questions we have tried to keep generic. The generic questions are open-ended questions. You know that how it can be challenged in interpretation of those questions. This, so like simple one question on good governance, we say it has given trend to participatory governance, right? So then you are writing a very ordinary type of participatory governance, ordinary content, because participatory तो कुछ भी हो सकता है. Any sort of example you can give as participatory governance. You feel happy कि oh चलो I have written good, but you should know that the simple question means more challenge. Right? They are demanding better content, not like this. So that we can consider. So when let's say that I will tell that the theoretical question, 2-3 questions we have asked theoretical. One is Simon Science of Administration, Another is value laden NPA, and next is called means and ends debate. This, there are three questions if I can recall. In those three questions, what we find out, means and ends debate, so your means and ends debate is start there, isn't it? So you make it completely applied, hardly you care कि ये means and ends debate क्या है. This same thing in science of administration, Wilson. So again, let's say entire developments are written, all developments you write except one thing, science of administration. This, so that is how, let's say, that key full of, let's say, good developments. And next is science of means and says value laden and value free. The NPA was a normative inquiry, let's say, value laden, value free. Are you writing that value laden, value free? Debate. No. The question will go on that debate. This, because it did not come value laden in a vacuum. There was something related, that's why it started talking value laden. This, so then are you connecting with that? This, are we connecting with that? I have not found so far, whatever we have done evaluations. Right. Rather, it's entire story of NPA. People write NPA good content. Evaluators भी कई बार मान लो slip कर जाएंगे, isn't it? कि चलो marks दे देते हैं. Because such a good development answer is writing, even if it is not writing on the demand of the question. This, the people will write NPA, good NPA, entire story of NPA with good example, etc. Right. Last में एक paragraph में they will write कि it was value laden. Right. Although it should not be value laden, value free is also important. Methodological pluralism of Binobrook 4th conference and 3rd conference. Right. तो entire answer क्या है? NPA. Last में एक paragraph क्या we are writing? Right, कि it is not like this. Very obvious stereotype you can consider. To tell to yourself that कि different questions demand different treatment, that is called writing skill. This writing skill means what? Writing skill means writing as per the demand of the question. Right. यही तो writing skill होता है. This, so writing skill is not just write a straightforward answer. It's about the demand of the question. Another question is administering, managing, let's say. Then also, let's say, people are not writing what administering is, what managing is. This, that we can consider. So these are some of the things take away, let's say. You should learn that, you should try to, let's say, your approach suits here, no doubt. When most of the questions, now here you can have, let's say, that some questions, so you may be more inclined towards applied answer rather than theoretical. But a bit of this try to link with, even if you do a bit of that context and concept. Nowadays I have started writing. So there can be balance. Otherwise, let's say that कि applied aspect का कोई limit नहीं है ना. मैं तो बोलता हूँ आई से दैट कि हिटलर टाइम में भी 2-4 लोग अच्छे थे, तो आप प्रूफ कर दोगे उन 4 लोगों को लिख करके कि हिटलर वाज ए जस्ट रूल. ठीक है, जैसे कि 4 फैक्ट्स लिख दो, isn't it? I can say that yes. But unless you write the context of that rule, let's say that big picture of that rule, no, you will not know that. So if you think that yes, because GS has no that connectivity, it is not also demanded. This, that much of connectivity, because concept is not a part of this. But GS in globalization and let's say globalization in public ad, the syllabus is based on its evolution. This. So that should be in mind when you are writing any topic. If you take, even I say if you are writing performance busting, it has the context of line item busting. No? If there is a zero busting, it has a context of performance busting. This, if it is outcome busting, it has the context of performance busting. हर चीज का एक context है अपना. This, so that should come. Applied, say yes, you can write applied whatever you want. But this, some questions, that is how it should be. Given it takes time to discuss, let's say how much time will take this time. So before we, let's say, proceed, because it takes time and you may lose your patience. So let's I have habit of this, but you may lose your patience nowadays because of shortage of time. Although we'll try to, every time I say I will follow shortcut, but still 28 questions going to it takes time. But still, let's see, since questions are not that challenging, generic nature, main is about writing answer nowadays. This. What is your challenge, by the way? कमान का तो बात ही छोड़ दो अब कमान तो nobody is following command की क्या है hardly let's say we pay attention to that, right? So it's very secondary thing. You follow it is good, you do not follow does not matter, right? It matters some cases, but anyhow let's see, you should pay attention to that. Yes, any other question? Yes, any problem?
So the transition between body and conclusion, like I have to think a lot between that, like how to write a conclusion and how to end the body.
Connecting lines can be written. That we find is, yes, we need to learn connecting lines. Right. Connecting lines can become only when you link with concept, context, this way. This. So suppose you are criticizing, suddenly we let's say criticizing, but then we can say that the relevance part. So this is how I when we dictate, even if it has criticism, but it still remains relevant. It connects with that. The connecting lines we can bring. This.
Also, sir, when there is shortage of time, for example, we have to do 3 questions of 10 marks in the last 10 minutes. So in that case, like while we are writing, we do realize that what we are writing is not correct, but still we have to write. So in that case, is there any shortage that we can think of?
See, suppose you are writing in last 10 minutes and let's say whatever the question you have left, so you have less knowledge. कुछ तो whatever term you know that key points उसी को elaborate करो, direct right answer.
So in that case, like the 3 questions, we can write 1 page each for these 3 words.
And yes.
Or is it better to complete one or?
No, it is not like. You try to write each, let's say all the 3 1 page each.
1 page.
Right. So that will give more marks than writing one complete, even if you know that it may not be that correct. That should be the strategy. This. See, nowadays question they do not ask in such a way that you don't know anything about the question. आजकल ऐसा question कोई नहीं होता है. बहुत ही rare ऐसा होगा कि you may not know, let's say that question. This. Now the question comes of relevance. So it's better to you can write the term जो है उसका meaning लिख दो, उसका कोई context है तो context से link कर दो. Right. This way. That is how it can be. If you have any examples, so you can write any example, that can be. Yes, any other?
So you spoke about the context of each question. So is it a good idea to start every question with the context only?
There used to be time 4, 5, 6 years back. We used to tell to write context, but gradually things change, style of writing changes. It is not necessary, let's say, suppose you are writing governance, right? You have, let's say, you can write a definition, that can be governance definition, you can write, that can be one start. This, because nowadays things have changed. What you used to tell, ki don't write the definition in intro, now we don't follow that. This is how. Now there is a direct style of answer writing. The direct style में आप definition भी start कर सकते हो, World Bank का report से start कर सकते हो, या गवर्नेंस पैराडाइम 6 से स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं. दैट की राइट द गवर्नेंस पैराडाइम ऑफ पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन. तो सिंपल आप बोल सकते हो ना, कॉन्टेम्प्ररी डेवलपमेंट्स इन पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन रिजल्टेड इनटू इवन अ गवर्नेंस पैराडाइम. दैट इज पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन इज नाउ इवन कैरेक्टराइज्ड बाय गवर्नेंस, और अनदर नेम ऑफ एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन इज गवर्नेंस. राइट. तो आपने सिर्फ इतना ही लिख दिया, जस्ट यू हैव नॉट रिटन टू मेनी लाइन्स ना, बट यू हैव कनेक्टेड विथ पैराडाइम. राइट. तो ये आपने कनेक्शन वाला काम कर दिया. बस You have connected. Now entire answer you don't connect, but its effects will continue. That's right. This. So that way, let's say that ki connection has its effects, that it connects with the subject. Otherwise, many a time we have written, some people will feel hurt. So this, let's say, ki answer is independent of question. You know that, independent of public administration also. Right. So there is no any connection, let's say, because आपके पास you, I think people read lots of trade and commerce, isn't it? वो ग्लोबलाइजेशन में उनका बहुत सारा फैक्ट्स वो ट्रेड एंड कॉमर्स का ही लिखते हैं दिस सो एन नंबर ऑफ फैक्ट्स वी हैव फैक्ट्स का तो कोई लिमिट नहीं है ना यू हैव एन नंबर ऑफ फैक्ट्स सम मोर फैक्ट्स विल गेट बाय द टाइम यू लेट्स से दैट कि गो आफ्टर 2 months दैट्स मीन्स अपीयर इन मेंस राइट और भी बहुत सारा फैक्ट्स आ जाएगा तो फैक्ट्स का तो कोई लिमिट नहीं है एनी हाउ यस एनी अदर क्वेश्चन Yes, it depends ki what suits you. Again, ki let's say, ideally you should start with let's say that ki called any selection wala optional question you should take 20 marker. That is how it is. Why you should start 20 marker? Because it is a 20 mark question. Speed comes with a time. Let's say the bit of you get practice also. You get thinking also. This way, so you can select the best one. The best question in that you can do, you can write your best answer also. No, best answer by the time your mind is spoiled, isn't it? In the process. So that way you can, and 10 markers you can write in and this way. But some people are good writing 10 markers. Right, they are not good at writing long answers. This is also, some people are okay with both. It depends ki which one, let's say, suits you. Yes.
Sir, before means should we ideally solve all previous year questions? Before means should we ideally solve all previous year questions?
All solving all is impossible. This. Yes. Solving all is impossible.
From 20 questions.
Right. Then let's say that now, let me say that ki some questions are very odd type. Right. The very odd type question, so we do not expect they will ask it. So practicing them does not make sense. Once they ask administrative law question, red light and green light. Right. So let's say ki why you are practicing it. You should practice those questions, their possibility of recurring those questions, similar line of those questions are possible, let's say ki more. This basically you have to practice so that ki your mind etc. is not, let's say that ki somehow thinking or immersed in what UPSC pattern is. Right. There are questions which are going to be similar pattern of question they are going to ask. Or let's say ki they ask, let's say Maslow and Herzberg, you will say that they keep asking. Yes. So you should practice those things rather than ki let's ki writing all PYQs. It's a blind approach.
Sir, we struggle in finding model answers.
Right. देखो model answers से क्या मतलब है? Try to tell yourself. Because simple let's say कि some model answers तो in the course of preparation मिल जाता है. We ask some questions. Right. Second thing that कि rather than model answer, it's more about process and practice. You should go through that process and practice it. Yes.
It's difficult to know whether our answers are aligned towards the demand of the question.
Right. Yes, that will always remain. People have qualified, struggling with that.
Sir, 20 mark every question.
Yes, we did this time basically in this summer wala batch in crash course. We discuss almost let's say 20 years PYQs almost. This, but it is not possible. Sorry, it is not possible. Let's say, but we did it. Let's say once. Yes.
Sir, 20 mark every question. In the exam there are only 3 pages given, but in the test series there are 4 pages. So while practicing, should we align our content accordingly?
Yes. Basically, let's say that they keep changing.
They keep changing.
they keep changing, let's say. 4 page is also, let's say in past they may have given, or paper 1, paper 2, it's both same pages. Because pages are as per UPSC only.
In 2023, there were 3 pages of 20.
That is how I told that, ki since we do not appear, you appear. The students share it, so accordingly we change. Right. It's, I think, a standard one, not a problem. Right. But you are not supposed to write 4 pages. In 20 mark question, you are not supposed to write 4 pages. You can finish your at 3.5. Right. You finish your 3.5. 4 page if you write, you cannot complete your paper unless you have extraordinary speed. Right. The standard 3.5 page. Many a time length of the answer does not matter. You know that case. You no doubt psychology is there, but let's say that standard is 3.5 page. Yes. If you have good speed, you can go by 4 pages. Yes, that way. In 20 mark question, you can have some, let's say, diagram, etc., triangle, rectangle. Right. Yes, any other question? Right. So, basically, let's say if you struggle to, some people struggle in their to completion, certainly it is difficult to complete paper on time. In UPSC, you will complete, here it is challenging. Right, challenging because there it is after all practice etc. Your level of motivation that time different. Here you are a bit not that, let's say you are trying to become, isn't it? Generally completing in UPSC is not that challenging, but you should try to write in time bound manner. This is how the practice should do. Even let's say suppose you are not able to complete, you write in your test copy that you attempt the questions after 3 hours. Even if you do not write, tell to yourself, I have attempted some questions after 3 hours. Try to reduce it with each test. That is the approach. Let's right. This why you are not able to, let's say, write on time, because let's say you may take time in thinking and let's say planning that question, understanding the question, those things, let's say that, then writing, structuring, all these things, that is what we can say. 20 mark questions, you can take a bit time to plan, let's say that. A bit of planning can be done for 20 mark questions, because they are long questions like this. Short questions you write while, let's say, planning and writing, and everything should go while writing. Right, that's why better way to write is start with definition or a ready-made, let's say, introduction that you have. So already when you have for each topic any ready-made introduction, so that is how it helps you in at least not wasting time, having a beginning. You can have a beginning, you can write something, and then thereafter, let's say by the time you write, thinking may start coming. This. So that is how you proceed. That's why you do planning, this, that, lots of things, content you prepare. This, that is what we can say. So let's take first question. So yes, I told let's 1, 2, 3. This fourth thing I will add is key terms. Key terms of the question. When you write key terms, let's say that, so each question is different because of just key term. Every year UPSC also asks, we also ask the same topic, different questions. Right. This every year they are also doing this. For them, let's say one full mock they have to ask. Every year we have to make, let's say that, 10 question paper. So we have to find out variety of questions, new questions, very challenging. This. So any question is why that, let's say NPA question or governance question is different. Just it is because of the key term. Concept ना तो बदला है ना तो आपका knowledge बदला है. This, the change is that the key term, let's say in the question. So while answering, let's say that you should write, means think that are you adequately addressing the key terms of the question. This, and keep in mind this, if you are not addressing the key terms of the question, so that is again, let's say that it is not a good answer we can consider. And in some cases key terms are obvious, you know it. Like in this case, you know it is obvious, you can consider. Some cases, some key terms you can see first time, or you may find key for that question it is first time. This. So then let's say you may find it a bit difficult to connect and write. It's better that you explain it. Right. What we are trying to do basically when we start writing GS style, so what happens is that we do not write the question term, we do not write explanatory sentence. We are explaining the question by some developments. This, the governance, तो मनरेगा. This, the governance को explain नहीं किया. Governance you can find today participation of people like मनरेगा. Example दे दिया. But governance as such term has not been explained. Because मनरेगा does not explain the term. मनरेगा just relate it. Right. This, yes, मनरेगा is linked to governance. So that is how, let's say we have asked one retreat. The question is simple, what is retreat? The people have just written comparison and that is how they say there is retreat. What exactly is retreat? That is the only, suppose you had written two connecting lines, ki why there was a retreat, why it was considered retreat, at least after differences, you should have written that, ki why it was considered as a retreat. This. So that could have taken the answer to a next level you can consider this. So that is the gap, let's say these are the gaps you can find is when you see the terms etc. and people let's say do not pay attention to this and this will remain challenge always.